Let's get it. It's the Eternal Underground production.
It's a bar reach.
I know what it is, man. You're now tuned in to the Hodge Sports Show, where the picks on target sharper than Katniss Everdeen with a crossbow. Before you place it, better check with Patrick and Sean first. Unless your aim is that highly advised, check the stores first. Get the covered, don't waste your time. Ain't no need to settle the competition where you think a gazelle could take a line. If you in opposition, just listen, it will change your mind. This is where you catch and every show a banger like Ray Lewis said, quarterback. I don't perform, you got a topic, or we'll address it. God, don't come on here talking that nonsense and don't know nothing. No hesitation, get put in your place, end the discussion. Ain't no shit coating over here, keep it 100. Got a question, we gon' come with the answer like Iris. If you ain't know then, you know now just what time it is. Sean, reppin' the city of brotherly love. Philly stand up, Super Bowl 52 champions. Baltimore in the building, making noise for his pack. Got Charm City on his back, putting on for the like Cal Ripken Jr. back with the Orioles. And he's 4 rebounding, diving through. Knowledge from his comments, you a follower. Shout out to you. Without you, this ain't possible. You rock with us, we rock with you. I love us, I love you. Much love to the fan base, follow the fan page. It's deeper than sports talk. It's something like family. Ever and be more. Let's get you a crab cake. You in Philly, say let's get you a cheesesteak. Now running another sports fanatic that you know online. Tune in every weekend when we going live. Every weekend when we going live. Yeah, I know what time it is, man. HBS, let's get it. It's reach. Cause sports breed passion, ain't no better place to let it out than right here on HPS, where we never stop. Never stop, never stop.
What's up, everybody? Good evening. It's Patrick Hodge with the Hodgepodge Sports Show. My special guest co-host from Sunshine State Sports Jabber on Monday nights and the Walker Report on Thursday. Brandon Lewis Walker, welcome aboard, man. How's it going?
Good, man. Thank you guys for having me on.
Oh, man, no problem, no problem. Well, my main man, Sean James Harrison, will be joining us a little bit later. He's putting in them 40 hours, getting that grind on. Well, we got a good show tonight for you guys, man. You know, as we always do it, open forum, open topic, right? You see the number scrolling on the bottom, 888-531-8305. Our pin is 50317. We're going to talk Dak signing the tender because everybody was really worried about Dak Prescott's contract status for whatever reason. I don't know why. So we're going to talk about that. Bradley and I were just talking offline, and we're going to talk about the COVID. The pandemic, right? How it's affecting all sports. We're definitely going to be talking about the NBA. We're going to talk NHL. We're going to talk MLB, and then Brad is going to be talking about the PGA Tour, about the players being mic'd up, what it sounds like, what it looks like right now, and how they're doing with no fans in attendance. And you guys know, whenever you call in, if you type something in the live feed there, we will discuss it. Our third man in the booth, Danny Spalding, is not on the line right now, so usually he calls in as well. But what's up, Anthony Baltimore? He says the Sixers versus whoever for the championship. Jonathan Mathis, how you doing, man? Thanks for checking in with us, man. So, you know, Brad, before we get into the topic, is there anything that you'd like to talk about? And then please announce the nights and times of your shows as well, so we can let you get that in.
Yeah, like I said, Patrick, thank you and Sean both for having me on this show. Big fan, been a fan since we were together at NGSC, and now we've, gone our separate ways with the network. But I label myself a sports rep and a sports fan since I came out of the womb. My Sunshine State Sports Jabber show comes on Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is strictly just about the state of Florida. That is my home state. And we'll get into the COVID-19 since my state seems to be one of the hot spots in the country. And the Walker Report, guys, is a all sports. Basically, we cover everything on the planet Earth. I try to cover everything that I can. That's at 8 p.m. Thursday nights. But you can catch me both on both shows. I love having people call in. I think it's fun to have podcasts where people will call in and give you their opinion. I have 2 callers every week that I talk to on my Thursday show that I bring on at the end of the show, and I'll kind of, ask them about some of the topics, maybe, their team or a player or something, or a particular sport that they're more familiar in than I am, and I get their opinion, so it's pretty cool. I'm looking to hope to get more on the Monday show, but there's a lot of people that don't know much about Florida. If you don't live in the state, it's kind of hard to have an opinion on what's going on. But
Yeah. Well, I think the intriguing thing about that is Florida is a big time athlete state. So, two football teams, right? 2 basketball teams, hockey team, right? They got it all. 2 baseball teams, and a lot of amateur talent that comes out of the state of Florida. A lot of 5-star recruits, things like that. So it'll be very good to hear you talk about that coming in on your show as well. But the one thing that I would like to ask you about, since you brought it up, is state of Florida. First of all, how are you doing? How are you and your family doing? Everybody healthy? Everybody's good?
Yeah, Patrick. I have had 2 people that are been close to me. Actually, my brother-in-law works locally for the sheriff's department. He actually came in contact with someone, but got tested negative. Thank God that didn't go through. What we've been doing at work is I work from home 2 days a week. I'm in the office 3 days a week. We have to wear a mask indoors when we get up to move around our office. When we're at our desk, we don't have to wear it, but if we go, what they're telling us is if we go out, make sure you wear your mask. Obviously, in the county that I live in, it is a mask everywhere indoors. You have to be wearing a mask wherever you go, and that's gas stations, grocery stores, whatever it might be. You have to wear a face mask while you're in the building until you eat. You're allowed then to take it off and put it back on as you go to the restroom or move around the restaurant. I would say about 3 weeks ago, a month ago, we were the rant and rave state. Everything seemed to be good. And now all of a sudden I think yesterday we had 9,000 new cases pop up. So, yeah, we obviously blinked a little too early on everything here down here in Florida.
So now, with that being said, with the spikes and everything that's coming up, are you hearing anything that may impact the professional sports, right? Are you hearing anything about the NBA specifically or your Tampa Bay Lightning? Because I know Stamkos is not really a big fan of what's going on with the NHL right now until everybody's healthy. And I get that, but is there anything that you're hearing or that you're reading about locally that we might not hear on the national level that may have impact on the NBA and NHL, specifically the Tampa Bay Lightning?
As far as I know, Patrick, up till this point, the NBA still is planning on going to Orlando. In fact, yours truly will be going to Walt Disney World at the end of July. I can't wait to go to the park when there's going to be nobody there. You have to wear a mask, obviously, but I will be going to Disney with my family at the end of July, which is about the same time the NBA plans on starting their playoff season. The thing I think that all of the sports coming back are going to struggle with is the bubble thing. You're going to tell grown men who are so used to going out after the game, going out to wherever that they do, restaurants, clubs, whatever they do after the game, going home. Now you're telling them they can't shower in the arena. They have to go back to their room and do it. And then on top of that, here's the scary part about what I think is scary, guys. Let's think about this. How about the maids and all the room people that work in those hotels that go home every day? If they run into somebody and come back and you get somebody sick, you're going to have a huge issue. So again, is Disney going to keep those employees locked in that bubble at the same time as the NBA guys go? So I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know what the NBA has put into place for that. As far as I know, everything is still good to go with that. As far as the Lightning go, they did reopen they had 2 areas where they train. Amway Arena, that's the home stadium for the Lightning. They did reopen it after 3 players did test positive. It has been reopened for the players to return. As far as I know, I don't think the NHL has announced the host cities yet, but I have a funny feeling from what I heard on the radio here locally on Friday yesterday it's going to be Toronto and Las Vegas are going to be the host cities for the NHL when it comes back.
So let's start there. If you might not know this, but big NHL fan, huge. I got an issue with those cities. I got an issue with both hub cities being Western Conference, right? There's no Eastern Conference love at all, and I get Vegas, right? You know, that's probably the worst kept secret, right? That Vegas was going to be a city, right? And we knew eventually it was either going to be Toronto or Edmonton, right? You know, I mean, let's be clear, right? We knew, but I don't know, man. I just think that that's still asking some of the teams from the East to do some serious travel. You know, I mean, if it's Toronto, it's not so bad if it's Toronto, but even still, you know, like Tampa, that's not a quick trip. Tampa to Toronto is not a quick trip, right? You know, Philly to Toronto is not so bad, right? Boston and up, you know, it's not so bad. Even, you know, like Philly, or the New York teams and all that, you know, okay, right. But Carolina, you know, I mean, so I don't know. And I really thought that Pittsburgh had a shot at it when I saw them on the list. I was like, okay. I knew Columbus wasn't going to do it because Columbus, I mean, Ohio was one of the worst states at the beginning, right? So kind of knew that. But you know, even Carolina would have been a good spot, right?
Right.
You know, that probably would have been a good central spot. But I think what worries me, Brad, about the NHL being able to get restarted is all the players that have to come back in country, right? Like it goes back to, you brought up an excellent point about housekeeping, right? And all the extra people outside or inside that bubble for Orlando, right? That's what kind of worries me about the NHL being able to sustain, right? And I'm hoping that once these sports get started, I'm hoping they're able to finish, right? I read something the other day where it's like baseball has something written in to where they can shut it down, but there's really like no example of what that catastrophe could be. So they're like, if X amount of players test positive, and when I say X amount, I mean X amount of marquee players test positive, right? So if you have Bellinger, Yelich, right, Lindor, you know, your Harper, you know, Cole, right? If all those guys come up positive, are they going to shut it down then? Because now those marquee players are not participating. So I thought for sure when Austin Matthews tested positive, I was like, oh, hockey's shutting it down, right? I was like, that's it. Like you can't have Matthews, you can't have McDavid, you can't have a Stamkos. God forbid. Let me go this way. Let me go Pasta because I can't stand Marshawn, so I won't even bring him up. Right? So, like, if all of those guys are Sid the Kid, right? Sid the Kid, you know, the Bread Man, you know, any of those guys that are tested positive all at the same time, what happened, right? And I ask you that because the MLB and the NHL or on the outside looking in, as far as popularity goes, right? As far as how many people are gonna watch, right? Except for us diehards, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, do you think that those sports will be able to sustain if the marquee players are popular? And we'll touch on the NBA for all you guys that are NBA. We're not discounting them, but we're specifically talking MLB and NHL right now in this scenario. And then we'll take a couple callers. We have.
You know, Patrick, to be honest with you, that's a very, very tough question. You make a good point because what does happen if your key MLB guys and your key NHL guys test positive? And I think the people that were hurt the most as far as MLB coming back so late was your casual fan. Your fan that may have said, hey, you know, in 2020, I'm going to give baseball a shot. You know, and now with them arguing back and forth, no, you know what? I'm not going to watch that. I don't want. I'll try it out another time. So the MLB and the NHL, I guess, do depend a lot on their marquee guys because that's who draws the fans in. So if those marquee guys go down, it would be very, very hard for both of those leagues to sustain. If baseball does a 60-game season, it would be hard to sustain 60 games. And then on top of that, the NHL even finished it. Yeah, that would be very difficult.
There he is. What's up, Scene?
What's up, guys?
Not much. What's up? Have you officially met Brad?
What's up?
Have you officially met Brad?
I have not.
What's up, Sean?
How's it going, Brad?
Good.
Nice to meet you. Sorry, guys, I'm still getting set up in a rush here.
Rob?
No, you're all good. We'll catch you up, man. We'll catch you up. We're gonna go out there. I know this number, right? I'm gonna get it right, Sean. Big Lou, what's happening, man?
Yes, I know Brad.
No, I know you know Brad. Hey, so Lou, you've been on since the beginning. You've been listening to us. What do you feel about what we've discussed so far?
Sports coming back. Hallelujah, first of all.
Okay, hallelujah. First of all, we got you.
Three and a half
Much
months.
better.
And I'll say this: you can't really blame what happened. I know everything with the baseball. They took so long to get everything done, but nobody's really at fault. We're in an unfortunate situation that nobody really control over. So I don't think you can argue all you want, but at the same time, it was nobody's fault that the baseball season had to go through all that. But I'm just happy that that most, if not all, sports are going to come next few weeks. So I'm primed and ready.
Okay. So do you think, well, as Brad and I were just talking, and Sean, if you're ready, you can jump in on this. Do you think when you look at the MLB or the NHL specifically, if several marquee players test positive at the same time, they'll be able to sustain?
I think we'll be able to sustain. We're going to get more players being tested positive. I mean, with the rising testing, it's bound to happen. If you can get it over with before you're able to win, I think you're going to be okay. The problem is really what's going on with the college level, because they have to go back soon and for the classes and whatnot, and it's a little bit more congested with say 3,000-4,000 people on the same campus, and that could lead to a problem. Most sports, I think, for the most part, are going to be fine. It's the college I'm most worried about.
That's an interesting take.
I like watching football every afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very interesting. Sean, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I disagree. I think once.
Let me catch you up.
I mean, I think I'm going to hop right in. I'm going to jump right in. I'll right off of what Lou said there and just kind of keep rolling here, so we don't have to slow it down. I think a second. I think a second one or two big name players catch it, because I think it's inevitable. I think they're going to catch it. I think it's going to happen. I think it's something you can that they're going to try to avoid, but you can't avoid it. And all the players that are coming back that were hesitant beforehand about even coming back are going to be like, you know what, it's not worth it anymore. So it's just going to be a domino effect once, and especially when it happens like marquee players. So for instance, let's just throw a name off the cup. Let's say Nolan Arenado gets it. Okay, Nolan Arenado gets a huge name player, and then all these players that were already hesitant about coming back, they're on the same marquee status as him. That's it. It's a wrap. Why would they be enticed to even come back and keep playing when they see it's like it doesn't matter? Like this virus doesn't care who you are. I mean, I'm not sure who actually read what Von Miller was saying about what the virus did to him, but he's saying that he's been cleared of it now for some time. He's still having trouble breathing. He said it still feels like his lungs are tight, and he's still having trouble breathing. So this is going to First off, I think it's completely irresponsible to bring sports back at this time. Secondly, it's I think like I said, in every sport, it's going to be a domino effect. I think the sport that it has the least potential to affect because of quantity of players is the NBA.
Okay, so now that being said, I'm gonna bring you in on something because Brad brought up a good point talking about the NBA specifically. He said that he's worried about the bubble, right? About players being in the bubble, like really not being able to shower, like they have to go back to the hotel and shower and things like that. He said, and now you're gonna appreciate this because this would be something that you would have said or thought. What about the housekeeping people? Right? What about the housekeeping that are cleaning the players' rooms and things like that? What if one of those individuals come down positive with it,
Well, the problem is that
right?
they're all going to be stuck in the bubble with them. So once you sign up for to do this, they're caught in the bubble with them.
Right.
So they can't leave,
Right.
just like
And
the
that's
NBA players can't leave.
exactly. So and that's kind of what he was getting to, right? And that's how we got on to this. You know, will sports be sustainable? And we took the MLB and the NHL first because we feel like as far as popularity and viewership, they're going to be the least watched, right? Except for hockey and playoffs because everybody watches everybody. But we were talking about that, and so I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason why I feel this way. And then Brad, I'll throw it to you. I think that if star player in any sport come down positive, the athletes that will vote first will be NBA. I think if a couple NBA star players come down positive, a lot of players in the NBA will be like, "That's it, I'm out."
Yeah, Patrick, I think I agree with you. I mean, let's look and say like Giannis or like LeBron James, the marquee guys like Kawhi Leonard, for example. We'll go with those three names. I think if you're exactly right, I think what would happen is if they did one of those, or let's say all three of them. Let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's say all three of them come down with it. I think a lot of the secondary guys be like, you know what? It's not worth risking my life or my career. I'm done. I'm going to go home, and we'll have an NBA season next year when everything is, when there's a vaccine out for this to kind of get it under control. If we ever get it under control, is the big question too.
Right. All right. Let's bring in this first time caller. Last 4 of your numbers 1786. Your sports with Patrick, Sean, and Brad. Who we speaking to?
This is Matthew.
What's up, Matthew Sandy? Checking in from Columbus,
Wow.
Ohio. What's happening, man?
Nothing much. Just dealing with the same thing we're all dealing with.
I hear you. So, what's on your mind, fella? Talk to us.
Well, I want to get on the conversation that you guys are talking about, and that's with NHL and MLB. Which, the way I see it with NHL, it's probably going to end up being Las Vegas and Toronto as those final two hot spots. Only because in Toronto, in that area, they don't really have the cases going on there. And then Las Vegas, full amount, but it's not the NHL's expectation.
Okay. All right. So, do you think that it's a good time for sports to come back? Or you think it's a little too early?
Too early.
Too early. Okay. And do you think that once it started, that they'll finish all sports, any sport? You can take that however you want and dissect it up.
I could see Major League Baseball finishing early as long as they follow like the same protocol that the is following right now.
Kind of what
and
me and
then
Brad were talking about.
NHL,
Fair, yeah.
I could see them going into like 10 to 15 games. A positive.
So Sean, I have a question for you geographically. So the Phillies are gonna have all 60 of their players report to Citizens Bank Park for spring training 2.0. I'm reading an article that they're not going to go to Lehigh Valley for the other part of spring training. They're going to try to do everything in Citizens Bank Park and right around. And they're saying there's some fields. What is FDR? And how close is that to the park itself? Can't hear you, Sean.
On? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I get.
Yeah, sorry. What park did you say? You cut out on me there when you were asking the question.
FDR.
FDR Park. FDR Park from Citizens Bank, I would probably 15, 20 minutes. I mean, it's not too far.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I don't know, man. I think more whenever I keep thinking about this comeback here, it just I worry the most about baseball. It's just so many players you're bringing back at one point. It's I don't know. I'm on a completely different wavelength than everybody else. I think baseball is the one sport that baseball and football are the two sports that shouldn't come back.
You know, I think that baseball is really going to have a hard time trying to fix it, right? And Brad and I were talking about this earlier, right as we came on, because he's right down there in Florida, and that's how we started talking about the bubble and things like that. I think that, like we were just talking, right? Toronto was scheduled to play in Florida, right? That's where they were going to play their games. They weren't going to play in Toronto. They were going to play in Florida.
And that's because the Canada health guide, right?
Canada health guide, but now with the cases spiking up in Florida, they have no backup plan. They're scrambling right backup plan. So I could potentially see baseball doing spring training 2.0 and then shutting down. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah, that very likely could happen. I mean, again, I don't work too far from Tropicana Field, where the Rays play here locally. Excited about it, but you make a good point that if they started back up, and let's say that the coronavirus hits 2.0 very hard, baseball may not start up either. That like Sean mentioned earlier, we're kind of at the whim of the virus. The virus doesn't care who you are, where you come from. If it hits you, it hits you. And that's just, we're at the whim of the virus right now.
I think that's absolutely true. Mike Linson's on the phone. What's going on, Mike?
What the hell you just say? What the hell did you just call me?
I said Mike Linson. He wants me to call him Mad Mike. Mad Mike. You look at Sean. He is all business. Mad Mike is on the line. What's going on, partner?
You just special named them and all. Like, you didn't even care. Government name out there?
Yeah, he crushing me. So, man, Mike, we're having this discussion about the pandemic.
That's better.
Yeah, and we're talking specifically about the marquee players testing positive in all sports at one time. Like you name any of the marquee players and say if they come down positive for the COVID all at the same time, will that particular sport be able to sustain or will they fold? That's kind of where we're at right now in our discussion.
Well, a lot of people not gonna like what I got.
You probably gonna say what Sean just said.
I think it's. Oh! You know how I get down, man.
Yes, sir.
I think it's full of shit. To be honest, I think everybody coming down with coronavirus and all that. That's not the truth. But what's really happening is how many people have tested positive in the past, and as of right now, is a way to cause a fear to keep people at a distance, to be honest. Because let's be real, man. It's like people want sport, and when people want sport, you know what I'm saying? Like they are going to be emotional, and emotion feels whether it's in sports, whether it's in TV, whether it's selling books. Emotions is what gets everyone's going, and like I'm not buying this coronavirus. I'm not saying that coronavirus is a hope. Like Mr. 45 said, absolutely real. But all this, please come on at one time. Like, man, who are y'all trying to fool, bro? Like, I'm not buying it. Who? Like, how does everybody get coronavirus at the same time? Most of these players have been at home with their families, sitting in front of the computer, sitting on their iPhone, their Android. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen these people on social media. Now, all these guys, all these players have coronavirus, like tested positive. Like, come on, but like if you're going to be let's say a Colin Cowherd or a Skip Bayless, at least be freaking good at it. All right, I almost cussed there. I'm getting better. All right, I almost cussed there. So, man, Michael, all you people out there trying to say, you know, saying that I curse too much. You got on me for cursing and all this type of stuff. So I'm getting better. I apologize if I'm talking too much. I'm like Don King, man. Once I keep going, I just keep going and going and going and going.
Okay, so that's a different take, right? And something that Brad mentioned earlier, and that I also heard last night on ESPN. I think it was Jalen Rose was talking about it. He was saying that the issue is going to be for the NBA. The issue is going to be with the younger players. The younger players are not going to be able to remain disciplined, right? They're going to try to do everything to break that bubble, right? You know, try to bring in their people from the entourage. They're the barber, or they're this or that, and then some of these positive tests could pop up.
Yeah,
and that's kind of where
younger players don't fear anything.
Right. So like when you said that, you know, we're seeing these players sitting at home playing video games, you know, and on social media and on the iPhone like that, I feel like that's probably, and I could be wrong. Again, just my opinion, and everybody can jump in on this. I feel like that's your older generation, you know, your veterans, you know, your family guys that really like, you know what I mean? That are like, because there's a lot of people that share your sentiment, right? Not saying that the corona it's not as bad as it maybe it's seeming not to be, but you know, we always talk about numbers. Numbers don't always tell the whole story.
The rising cases in some parts of the country, then.
Yeah. Well, and again, right. It's definitely geographical, right? Because we can sit here and say we feel this way, but then Brad's sitting right there in Florida, and he can tell you. But he just told me earlier what the cases went up by how many this week?
There was 9,000.
Right?
9,000.
9,000. Yeah. 9,000 confirmed. And I know here in Baltimore, it's been an issue. I mean, like I was telling Sean a week ago, we were still quarantined. We were just now able to go out to a restaurant, whatever, like last week or two. You know, so the way that we're doing things here. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, it's really going to be interesting to see how it goes. And I think that there should have been some collaboration among them to see how they're really going to do all their protocols, because there are some similarities, Sean, like Sean said. There's definitely similarities between baseball and football, right? And hockey too, because they're all going to be concentrated in a locker room, and they're going to be trying to do the same thing. And that's what, like, the players in baseball were like, no, we don't want to have to go shower. We got to figure this out. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I mean, you know, I'm really more worried about the optics, right? Go ahead, Sean.
So I was actually just going to throw in there real quick. I actually think, like, if there was ever a sport that, if, like, the question that was asked, if marquee players got hurt or got this, that wouldn't survive, if there was ever a sport that wouldn't survive if the marquee players got hurt, it'd be the NBA. Because let's be realistic here. If you have Giannis, LeBron, Joel, and Kawhi get this, the league's essentially just going to shut down. Mm-hmm. Like it will fold on itself. So the NBA is the only league where you can have one or two players make up your entire team and you could still be successful. And it's like, and we always say this, that nobody markets their players better than the NBA. So when the NBA with his NBA talent, like, if these big marquee guys get it, they could have essentially just shut the league down completely, like for this year.
I agree with you, Matt. Why we were in agreement that the NBA would fold first, meaning that players would be like, "No, that's it." Because I think a lot of players are like, "Man, you know, like I said, younger thing, but like if some of your younger stars are unfortunate enough to come down positive with this, then it's going to be a wrap." I absolutely believe that.
That's the thing.
Let's keep it moving on as we go towards. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. We can move on.
He froze. He cut out.
Donnie, freeze.
No. You keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, no. All this is like I don't believe that I don't think that NBA players are gonna I only think the NBA players that don't want to play anymore are the ones that are saying they're not going to play that aren't coming into the league. So your Trevor Arizas, your Avery Bradleys, and your Kyrie Irvings, they're not going to come. They don't want to come. I think that they're good with that. But even what's his name, Austin Rivers, said that he needs the money in his pocket. Not every player is making what these quote unquote star players are making. You only get 3 max contracts to a team, and a lot of these teams don't have 3 max contracts on their team. And here's another thing too: is some of these teams, some of these players in this shorter system have a better chance of winning a championship because of the way the setup is now. So you're really going to tell me that players like AD, like a player like Anthony Davis, who might not have a better chance in this year to win, is going to be like, no, what? I don't want to come back. And the same thing with Giannis, who's trying to win his first one, who probably has the best team, who arguably the best team in the East right now. You're going to tell me he's like, nah, I don't want to come back because I don't want to get. I just don't see that being an issue because the way the format is.
I agree, and on that point, I agree. But I though at the end of the day, man, like the NBA players run the league, right? The players run the NBA. I just think that if you get a couple of those marquee players that come down positive, I think we're going to see a mass exodus. Hopefully we won't find out, right? But as we move through this,
guys,
go ahead.
You guys really think the players run the NBA? The marquee guys run the NBA?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the NBA is easily the most player-run league out of all major sports, and it's not even close. The players run the NBA, and that's why Adam Silver has the easiest job, the easiest GM job.
I kind of think it's the players in a way, but I think it's more of the agents. I think agencies run the NBA right now. And
that's a solid point.
It's been that way for a while. The reason why I say this is because I don't think players are going to get their money. Players, the LeBrons, the ADs, those guys are going to get their money. I don't see that those guys are quote unquote running the league. I don't see it that way. If it was, you will have guys like. Let's just say Kent Bazemore. You remember the $70, $80 million contract that Kent Bazemore got for absolutely no reason, and now those contracts are pretty much non-existent now. See, I can't say that the players are running the NBA. I think what really happened is that doing owners really screwed up the relationships from players. From agent and owner relationship and what they did, and the reason why guys like Kent Bazemore and that sorry sack of crap was playing with LeBron and what's his name, Tristan Thompson. He got like $80 million just to rebound and look good. Well, I ain't gonna say look good. He got $80 million just to stand there and look at LeBron dribble. You know what I'm saying? I think it's more of the agencies who run the NBA now. I can't say that the players are running. If any sport ran their sport, is baseball. Those guys get $300 million to strike out 200 times and hit 30 home runs, 40 home runs in a season. Anything in baseball runs their sport.
See, no, okay. So go ahead. Who's that? You, Brad? Oh, Matt. Go ahead.
Now,
Matt.
another player relates to Kent Bazemore is Luol Deng.
Ooh, that's a good call. That's a good call.
How many big contracts he got?
That's a good call. That's a
Luol
good call.
Deng's like the Sam Bradford of the NBA.
I like. Yeah, right. Sam Bradford of the NBA.
Exactly.
The line of the night. Luol Deng, Sam Bradford of the NFL. Yeah, that was great. That was great. Oh my gosh. Woo. If you ever, Brad Walker, if you ever thought in your entire podcast life that you would hear Luol Deng and Sam Bradford mentioned in the same sentence.
Listen, man, this show is great at getting off the rails. We have a hard time sometimes getting back on them, but we're great at getting off them.
Oh my God, this is why I love this show. Oh my God. So back in cover. So I like what Mike said. I do like the point that Mike brought up about the agents because we know my man, Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, he has a big time influence on the NBA. So what I wanted to talk about with you guys as we segue here is then the sports that have come back. And I'm going to turn this over to Brad. He's going to talk to us about the PGA Tour, about how the players have been mic'd up. They've been able to get a couple tournaments in. How successful it's been, what it looks like, what it sounds like without fans being there. Take it away, Brad.
Yeah, well, I mean, the golf kind of got back, guys, with the match, with Tiger and Peyton and Phil and Tom Brady, which I guess we finally figured out something that Tom's not good at. Tom is not the greatest golfer in the world. There are a lot of better amateurs.
He's not the greatest golfer.
That might be better than Tom. So that would be that's the start. But what I like about the PGA Tour, I think there's been 2 or 3 positive tests for players since they've come back. There have been players like Justin Thomas, who's the 4th-ranked player in the world, who has said that they have, that golf needs to take a little bit more precautions on how they do it. Now see the difference between with the NBA, it's a team sport. Golf is an independent sport other than your caddy, but both the players and the caddies are both being tested, I believe, twice a day, I think, before they go out and when they come back in. The player that tested here recently actually did not tested negative on Thursday, then came in on Friday and tested positive. So it's that's just a scary thing how that can happen. What I like about the PGA Tour not having fans is, if you guys ever watched a PGA Tour event on TV, how many times does it get annoying when they're teeing off and the guy goes, "Get in the hole"? I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, Bryson today, that was 400. Come on, guys, for crying out loud. I mean, I'm sure the players are happy right now. There are no cell phones or things going off in their backswing, pictures being taken. So when fans can come back, I believe the Memorial Tournament in Ohio, that's Jack Nicklaus's tournament. They're going to have 1,000 fans there at Memorial. So that'll be the first golf tournament of the year since before the coronavirus began back earlier this season. What I like about it being mic'd up is I think it kind of gives you some inside chatter on what the players are thinking. I've been playing golf myself since I was 5, and I'll tell you what, golf has completely changed through the years, and it's got more. It makes it easier for everyone to understand what they're talking about. Club selection, when you can hear everything now. But there are players out there like Brooks Koepka that says if the announcers just shut up, we wouldn't have to wear a microphone. So if you want to look at it like that, some of the PGA announcers are, they talk too much. So, yeah. Yep. So.
Yeah. I had.
It's funny you say that. Go ahead.
No, I just had a quick question. It's like, are these players getting fined for like because these are still nationally televised events. So say they have profanity because let's not pretend like you ain't ever shake a shot because I've been there. I know you've been there. I know anybody listening that golfs has been there. You shake a shot. There's a certain word that comes out your mouth, and it's not four. It's another four-letter word that starts with that F word. That starts with F. But I mean, what happens if one of them, they make that slip? I'm assuming there's a fine. There's a process and a fine and everything.
Yeah, they do get fined. Be that very. Again, there are people out there that are young.
I know it is a cool gentleman's game, but who cares about it being a gentleman's game? Hey, golf, I love golf. I love to watch golf. All right? Yes, I'm a black man who likes to watch golf, okay? But I love golf. But how many times are you going to drop the ball PGA when you have a superstars that everyone loves, and it's like they don't understand the fact that they have to market the sport. Like, I understand that it's a tradition. I understand it's a gentleman's sport, but marketing for a PGA has been absolutely garbage for years. I'm talking about near a century, and that's just honest. That's honest. Before Tiger Woods came, you know what I'm saying? I no one cared. So I think this is a brilliant move, and I hope, God, that they allow the golfers to show their true personality, because this is what the sport needs. Everyone leaving golf behind. Even NASCAR is leaving them in the dust. All right, leaving them as far as marketing and sport. All right, you have to allow the golfers to have a personality, and I think this is absolutely brilliant marketing for golf.
I agree.
I think that's a great point. Yeah, go ahead.
It took like 20 years for them to get to this point.
No, you're good. You're good. But it makes sense, and I think we will see this because I think it was Brad. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It was Justin Thomas the other day came out and said he's actually loving this. He's actually loving no fans being there. Like you said, no distractions. He's able just to play. He's able just to go out there and play, let it rip, have fun, and then talk about what he wants to talk about. And I think, to Mike's point, I think when you get into the bigger tournaments, I think you're going to see that because pressure is going to right. So when that shank happens, the camera's going to have to be fast, right? Because listen, we all know how Tiger Woods likes to curse into his elbow, right? When he hits that shot, he tries to do it right into his shoulder. What's the other kid that's from Texas, man, that nobody likes anymore? Jordan Spieth. He lets it fly, right? He hits a bad shot, he's cursing right there on the spot. He's fun, but he's horrible at that. Like he's kind of a bad sport, and I can understand. I see why now. I see why some people don't like him, and like he's not a well-liked guy.
Oh my God, that was good.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think that's going to be great.
Here's the other thing too. Is like they when they're playing with nobody watching them, they're literally just playing like I would play. There's no pressure on me. I'm just going out there and hitting the ball. That's when I think when you take the fans out of it, in golf in particular, when you take the fans out of it, you're losing that pressure cooker, with everybody, all eyes are on you. You need to hit this chip. You need to get it right on the green. You lose the pressure that is there. Obviously when you have thousands of people standing behind you watching you hold a hole. It's easy. I don't want to say it's easy to golf because I'm pretty bad, but it's less pressure golfing when there's nobody there, literally when nobody's watching you. I mean, I don't care if I shank it in the woods. I just got to go find it.
Yeah.
I don't care, but I would feel a lot worse if I would feel a lot worse if I'm out there with my twosome or my foursome and I have 5-6 guys behind me watching me as I shank it into the woods and now I got to go find it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it makes everything easier when there's nobody really there to judge you on it.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
It's basically like Happy Gilmore. You gotta tap it in.
You gotta tap it in. Yeah, nice. So now,
Honestly,
gloves about to come off here in a second between me and
that's
Sean.
just one thing. And like I said, I just want to come in and rap with you guys a little bit.
No, I appreciate it, man.
I think, no problem, man. But honestly, I think whoever is loving no fans right now, that right there is for me. That tells me that golf is absolutely getting trash. All right, for me, the reason being trash is because why would you want as an athlete no crowd, no pressure? Like Sean said, no pressure. Like that's from a competitor. From a competitor standpoint, I want the crowd there. I want them screaming. I want them yell. I want that element, that added element. Look, I play basketball, all right? And free throws, I love free throws, okay? I love free throws more than shooting. I love it more than playing defense. Why? Because I want that pressure. And if you are a competitor and you do not like the fact that fans at the game, they're at whatever the hell you call, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a game. Like, what do you call? If you cannot live up to that pressure as a performer, then that right tells me that golf is on a downward spiral. And for me, why I say that, again, man, competitor, man. Competitor. When Tiger Woods, and I don't want to keep bringing up Tiger Woods, but when Tiger Woods came at it, that competitive nature that golf so desperately needed. They need competitors. So I go back to what I said earlier about the golfers and them needing to show their personalities. I want to hear that. I want to connect to otherwise. I want to connect to all these golfers and whatnot. I want to connect them, but I don't want to connect to a damn golf shirt. I don't want to connect to loafers. I don't want to connect to a fucking club. How the hell can I connect to a club? I need to connect to a personality. That's what sells the sport.
I think, so, and I think that's what you're going to get. I think with them being mic'd up, you're going to get that.
Being mic'd up is going to be awesome for me. But
yeah, no, I really do.
I enjoy. I enjoy listening to Tiger scream. I'm listening to between him and his caddy. Like I enjoy that. That's what I want.
And that's the part that we don't get typically anyway. But you say that I'm more interested in hearing the foreign guys talk. So they'll be cursing and we won't know, right? Like your Henrik Stenson.
They can't be fine.
That's my man right there. Henrik Stenson. I like they used to say, Jim told me he's like Paul Bunyan with a bat, with a baseball bat. That's how I think of Henrik Stenson. Henrik Stenson is Paul Bunyan with a golf club, man. That dude is just like. And then he's sponsored by Boss too. You go sponsor the other wears the Boss shirt. that guy so damn good and so big. I can't wait to hear him, talking his native tongue in the Spaniards. Oh my gosh! Like I just really can't wait for these bigger tournaments to hear him mic'd up and here it goes. I think that was a great topic, Brad, and I appreciate you bringing that to the table. So I want to go back to something, right? I want to go back to the MLB because, a good friend of mine sent me a message this week.
I was about to leave, but you brought up baseball.
No. Good friend of mine. Good friend of mine sent me a message this week, right? I mean, he is such a good friend of mine that we actually shared this platform on Saturday night. He me a message, and he says, your happy baseball's back, right? I'm like, yeah. He said, your Phillies aren't going to win more than 32 games this year, right? I'm like, okay. All right. I'm like, if you say so, I think everybody's in the same boat. No, everybody's not in the same boat. No, they got to play the AL East this year, plus the NL East. They couldn't beat Miami last year. They got to deal with they got to deal with my Yankees. You know, they got to deal with Tampa. They got to deal with the Mets with no slouch. They got to deal with the Nationals. They got to deal with the Braves. Yada yada yada. On and on and on he went. Right. I just kept my cool and say, okay, cool, no problem. I said, but until the games are played, nobody can tell me anything. You know, because everybody's not healthy, right? And I said, but we can bring it up on Saturday night. Like, I could tell I was getting to him a little bit because I wouldn't engage him, and that's unlike me to not engage him in private message. So he says to me, right? So he's trying to get me. He's trying to get back, and he says, "Yeah, about it, but I feel like I'm gonna be talking to a brick wall, right?" So he got me. He walked, right? I wrote back this long story, right? I'm like, yeah, they couldn't beat Miami. I said, but they had a winning record against the Mets, had a winning record against the Braves last year. Games, they would have made the playoffs. I went on this thing, right? And you know what he did to me? He ghosted me. He didn't respond back to me at all. He got me in. He wrote me in, got me to give him this response. He didn't touch the topic the rest of the week.
All right.
So I was hot, right?
No, to be fair, that's very likely.
Oh, yeah. So I go out through my sources, and I was telling Brad this before we came. I was like, oh, man, I got the MLB power rankings, right?
They're nice.
I looked through them. Saw Philly was number 9, right? I was like, oh, I'm posting this. I tagged him in it, right? Just to make sure he saw it, right? I know you was laughing, right? Because I know what he was thinking. He was thinking, this damn Patrick being petty, tagging me in this post. I know he was thinking that at work, right? So he likes the post. He didn't comment on. He likes it, right?
I wanted you to know that I saw it. I saw it, but I have a retort to it though. But go ahead. I'll let you keep going.
I know you do. And this is the beautiful thing about doing the show. This is the beautiful thing about doing a show with this guy is that we really know how one another think now. And I said, as soon as you like that's okay. You liked it. Loaded on Saturday. I said he come in there and say he's coming back on Saturday. So, and I was telling Brad this. I was like, Brad, this is gonna be fun. So, because Brad's a Tampa Bay Rays fan, you're a Yankees fan, I'm a Phillies fan. This is gonna be a lot of fun to talk about this. So I'm just gonna say this to you. I just stand by what I said to you. I just don't know how anybody can say anybody's gonna be this or that without knowing who's gonna be available to play. Like that was my main point to you. It's just like, man, you know, it's a 60 game crapshoot. You know, I don't want to get too high. I don't want to get too low. I'm not afraid the Phillies match up against anybody at this.
You don't want to build expectations as a Philadelphia Phillies fan. I get it. You don't want to have any expectations. I get it. As a Phillies fan, you're used to being disappointed. I get it.
Not go put words in my mouth because what I just said to you was I'm not afraid to play the Yankees. I'm not afraid to play the Red Sox. I'm not afraid to play Tampa.
You should be.
I'm not scared of you. Like, I ain't scared of you, motherfuckers. So,
hey, as a Mariners fan, I don't care who we play.
Yeah, I mean, like if you had it, if you just look at it holistically, right? What is a 60-game season going to look like, right? Like Brad and I were talking about this earlier. It's like you got to come out hot, right? Like you get Sean, like anybody could get left in the dust. Not anybody, because the O's aren't going to that good, right? Yeah, I mean, the 60 games like crapshoot is going to be.
All the rules out the window.
I don't mind. I don't mind the realignment. Like I think the geographical alignment is good, and these teams are somewhat familiar with each other because they beat each other up in spring training, so there's some familiarity to it. DH is going to be good for both leagues. I think that's going to help the NL be able to keep somebody on the roster that they might not have been able to keep. Not going to be a big deal for the AL; they're used to it. But what I'm saying is, I just don't know how anybody's going to be able to say this team is going to be able to do this on a 60-game season. Because like, who's available to play? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Sean. I know you want to.
Is it my turn? Is it my turn?
Go ahead, Sean.
All right. So this is I'm gonna catch myself here and I'm gonna start rolling here. So you're right. It's hard to judge anything in a 60-game season. You're absolutely right. But I was judging off of I was making a prediction and judging off of what every team will look like on paper. I'm not going to sit here just like we don't predict injuries. I'm not going to predict who's going to be out. I'm going to predict what I think a team is going to do. And after looking at it, and you posted that power ranking. I'm happy, man. I'm happy your Phillies are 9th. I said they were going to fight for a second wild card this year anyway. But you look at the 9. Who are those 9 teams in front of them? Do you have it available? Because I remember some of them. The Yankees were up there. The Rays were up there. Oh, I got you, bro. I got you, bro. You stay. I got you. Don't worry, man. The Yankees were up there. The Rays were up there at number 3. Yankees were number 2. That's 2 teams you got to play right away. The Atlanta was there. That's 3 teams you got to play right away. I believe the Nationals were right there too. I think the Nationals were 7. They were 7 to 10. I can't remember exactly, but they were right there with the Phillies. And then the Mets were right behind the Phillies at like 13 or 14. And then the Marlins that you guys haven't been able to beat for the last 3 years. Besides the point, I think that when you break it down, the thing that will benefit the Phillies more than anything else is the fact that I think the Phillies will go to a 4-man rotation all year. I think a lot of teams will go to a 4-man rotation all year, and you won't see a 5th starter. You only see a 5th starter in dire needs where you have a guy go longer than you thought he was going to, or something like that. But I think most teams will go with 4 starters the entire year, which will actually help the Phillies, along with the fact that they don't have to bat any of their pitchers and they're going strictly to a DH. But my question, because you'll be able to put that dude Jay Bruce as your everyday DH. But the Phillies, for me, I have so many questions about the Phillies in general. Like they're the biggest wild card team out there. They got a new coach, which I'm not gonna say anything bad about him. He got me a World Series. Good for him. La da dee, la da da. But I don't know if Rhys Hoskins is going to bounce back after having a horrendous year. I don't know what Jake Arrieta, who's going to be the 3rd starter. I don't know what the heck he's going to look like at all. So right now you have Wheeler and you have Nola, and my infatuation with Aaron Nola, so I will not speak anything ill of him. I'm curious to see if JT Realmuto is going to get signed before the season actually starts, or is this going to be something that's going to be in his mind all year that could effectively affect the way he plays? I don't really know what you guys are doing with Scott Kingery right now, because I think he should be in one spot and not a platoon player anymore. And Andrew McCutcheon's coming off a very serious injury, and I have no idea how he's going to come back from that. There is a lot of question marks all over your field, but outside of Bryce Harper, Aaron Nola, with Zach Wheeler. Oh, and maybe Didi. Didi was kind of fell off a lot. But you might get something out of Didi might return to form this year. He's on a 1-year deal with you guys, looking to hopefully cash in on a bigger contract.
Okay.
Hey, listen, Patrick, hold up. Was I fair?
I don't know if you were fair.
I'm sorry. I'm asking a Phillies fan. Brad, man, was I fair? Was everything I said fair?
Well, let me go on the record before we go any further. I am not a Rays fan, by the way. I am a fan of the enemy of God. I think Sean knows who that is when I say enemy. He should know who that is. But yes, you were fair, Sean. Yes.
Thank you. Now, Patrick, proceed. Sorry, I just want to make sure that I wasn't being unjust.
All right. Well, you were unjust. So, first of all, just let me rebut here to some.
Go ahead. I'll sit back.
I think that there won't be a 4-man rotation anywhere. I think that you're going to see a lot more 6-man rotations this year in baseball. I think you're going to see a lot of starters going 2 to 3 innings and being able to come back on a couple of days rest, and that's going to benefit your injury-prone pitching staff. So we talk about injuries. Aaron Judge hurt every year. Mike Stanton hurt every year. Brett Gardner is about my age, 50. James Paxton, was hurt. I don't know any other starting pitcher on your staff besides Garrett Cole. he's going to be full time in the Yankees. Are the bright lights going to be too big for him? I doubt that. He's a stud. Tanaka. I mean, I don't know who else you have. I mean,
you don't know about Sevi?
I like your manager. I don't see. Is he healthy? I mean, this again. It's like all these teams have these injury concerns and things like that. So just to address what you said about Philly, Scott Green, he's everyday second baseman now, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. McCutch, he's good. He's had enough time to heal. He'll be fine. He's not the last person to come back from a knee injury to play. It's going to be fine. If I'm looking on paper, I like my team on paper. I'm not worried about if I'm just going off paper. But that's why I said I can't say that anybody's going to be able to do anything until these games are played and what it looks like, what the schedule is going to look like. Now, the one thing that I will say to you as well is that the way the schedule is breaking down, they're playing the Yankees like 3 times or something like that. It's really
That's strange.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not as we first thought it was. Like, but I think. But I'll say this though, I'll put that East up against anybody else's division, right? Like, I'll put that East division against anybody's West by Central. That's going to be a dogfight because I think all of those teams are going to be pretty good. Because here's what we know, right? All jokes aside, we know Yankees are going to be good. We know Tampa's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They start every year, right? Regardless of who they put out there, they're just going to be good. So I get what you're saying, like with the Phillies, with the first-year manager and things like that.
Revenge this year.
So yeah. Yankee, and again, I don't hate the Yankees, Sean. You know that. So
You're like, I don't hate the Phillies.
They're definitely. I hate the other New York team. Now you won't talk about the Mets. I hate the Mets. I hate the Mets, but I don't.
One of the youngest.
Yankees, I ain't got no problem.
Did anyone mention one of the greatest offenses in baseball right now?
The Yankees.
The Dodgers.
The Yankees.
The bullpen.
We're not giving the Braves no love on this show.
Wait, Mike doesn't even know. Mike doesn't even know, bro. The amount of universal hate on this show for the Braves, you don't even understand. And it's funny because it's not even from you. It's not even from you guys. It's from past people.
Yeah, get that Bravo shit out of here.
Universal hate.
Yeah, man. Hey. Oh man, it's deep up in here, fam. We do not like the Braves.
Let's just be real. Let's be real. In a 16-game season, the Braves are absolutely one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. Why? Because they have
They got nothing else. They got no bullpen. They got nothing else. You got a center fielder that can't catch the damn ball. Man, look. If I'm looking at a 60-game season, after 60 games last year, where were they? After 60 games last year, where were they?
Let me say this.
Go ahead, get it out.
The best offenses are going to dominate the 60-game season. I'm telling you guys, I'm not saying the Braves are going to win it, but I'm telling you right now, an offensive team as talented as the Braves, if not even better, they are going to. It's only 60 games. So you have a guy like Ronald Acuna, a lot of other guys, all right? A lot of other guys on just the Braves. Just the Braves.
But you're not factoring in the teams that the Braves are going to be playing, though. Like, every team the Braves play this year, outside of Miami and outside of Baltimore, pitching staffs are phenomenal. Like, let's be real. The Nationals still have a good pitching staff. The Yankees have a good pitching staff. Tampa Bay has a good pitching staff. The Phillies have a decent pitching staff now with the addition of Wheeler. Like, these are a lot. Like, we always say that bats are going to win, but then come playoff time, bats always lose, right? So why, if it's a 60-game season, it's going to shorten the season, which is going to make pitchers more dominant this year. I think this is pitchers' time to shine.
Man, no. Talking about pitching versus hitting in 60 games. Pitchers dominate at the end of the year. Why? Because most of the players are fatigued. Fatigue will not play a factor this year. Therefore, offenses will rule.
Why aren't pitchers fatigued at the end of the year? Why does that change from pitchers to batters? I mean,
Yeah.
Say that again.
I said, why are pitchers not fatigued at the end of the year? Why are batters the only one fatigued?
Have you ever played baseball? I played
Yeah.
baseball.
Don't get him. Do not get him started on that question. Do not get Sean started on that question.
When your elbow is sore.
No, it isn't.
I'm not gonna lie. All I heard was did I play baseball? That's all I heard out of that, and a sore elbow. That's all I heard. He doesn't take into account that the other 30 hours of the sport, you're standing in left field waiting for something to be hit to you. You want to talk about fatigue? You're standing there with your arms over your legs for over half the game. You want to talk about fatigue? Bro, on top of playing baseball my whole life, I coach it. Like, I know the game is the only sport I've ever seen outside of golf where you can be 300 plus pounds and still play. And you don't even have to be athletic. You can be the least athletic person in the world, and you can play baseball. You know, right? Barloto Colon is 55 years old, but trying to still pitch. Like, I don't want to hear it. You don't got to be athletic or be in shape to play baseball. Any Joe Schmo can play baseball. If you have power, you're going to play. Adam Dunn's batting average was like a 234 career, but he hit 50 home runs a game. He struck out 300 times a year, but nobody cares because he can hit a long ball. I don't want to hear that you need to be that there's no fatigue. There's no fatigue at baseball. There's more fatigue for pitchers who have to actually throw the ball every single play, every single time for at least a 5 to 7 inning stretch. There's more fatigue in that than a batter going up to swing a bat 3 times.
Oh my gosh! This is why I said don't get him started. I go through every year with him about baseball.
Listen. I love baseball. I don't hate baseball, but I hate when people try to make like it's an athletic sport. It's not. You don't need to be athletic to play baseball. You don't. I'm sorry. I love the sport, but you don't need to be athletic. Shit.
I'm not going to allow you to be nervous. Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
No, he is not kidding you. He is dead serious.
That is the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard of anyone.
Oh my God! He said that's the most disrespectful thing I've ever heard.
I don't believe I just heard.
Lou, you're not new to this.
You ever seen Otis Nixon around the bases?
Listen, Mike, don't even waste your breath, bro.
Listen.
Listen.
Wow, I've never heard anybody say that's crazy.
Him and I go through this every year, man.
Sometimes the truth about your favorite sport hurts.
Exactly. Wait a second. Take a lot to swing the ball like that.
It really does.
So, Brad, anyway, what do you think about MLB, Brad?
I'll give you one.
Go ahead, Lou.
I know you ever.
Oh my God.
Go ahead, Lou.
Synchronized swimming.
Synchronized swimming.
Listen.
That's not athletic.
Near NASCAR, you're just doing left turn.
Hold on. Say that again.
Synchronized swimming. That's athletic.
It's more athletic than baseball.
I tell you what.
So I'm not going to pitch.
No, yeah, just let it be. I just always let him have it. I just.
Hold up. I think that all the thickies, all the thickies play baseball. I wonder why that is. So let's keep the train moving. Let's go. Barry Bonds is a pretty big dude. He might have been muscular. I won't say he was athletic. Let's keep this train moving. Mark McGwire. He was sure as hell athletic. He was.
Welcome to the chaos that is Hodgepodge Sports, Brad. This is. Oh my gosh, Brad. MLB, what do you think? Do you think that we can look at some teams and pinpoint who might be able to do what, or is it like, wait and see? Are we going to just tag the perennials for the most part?
To be honest with you, I think it is a wait and see thing. Again, like you mentioned, Pat, if you come out hot, I think you're going to see if it's a number of teams come out hot, it's going to be interesting to see who can sustain. That's going to be the question is when the season starts, who can sustain wins. There are teams that finished under 500 last year that were 30 and 25 in a month. Well, if you can go now with a 60-game season, you can go 15 and 14 in a month. That's a win, So again, it all come down to who can sustain. I like the 4-man rotation, 6-man rotation. We'll have to see how baseball plays itself out.
Yeah, I like how Sean put that out there about the 4-man rotation, and I just threw back the 6-man because I heard somebody saying that they might go 6.
I actually like that idea, Patrick.
To get ranked. Yeah, well, the reason why they said that, Sean, is that they might be able to let their pitchers go to ramp up, 2 innings, 3 innings, 4 innings, and then get them stretched that way, so they can just like in spring training, a bit more quicker, so they can go 2 innings one day, then come back 2 more days and go another 2. It's almost like everybody will be a reliever starting out, like going 2 innings at a time and then ramp it up.
Yeah,
because what we do know is, Sean, like you said, is that the pitchers always have the advantage. The beginning, right? Like in spring training, the pitchers are always ahead of the hitters. Hitters are always spending time tracking. And so, offense is going to be a little dormant for the start, right? It's going to be sluggish. The pitchers are going to dominate, right? I agree. You're going to see guys doing things on the mound that you didn't think they could do because of how it's going to take these hit up. And that goes back to what Brad and I were talking about. Whoever can pitch and field and do all those little things right first, they're going to have the advantage, right? So, you look at Tampa, right? They're very fundamentally sound team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to do well. The Dodgers, they're a pretty fundamentally sound team, and they can rake with any.
I hope they go.
You talk about offense, they can rake with any. Well, me too. But so they're going to do well. Right, St. Louis, your Cubbies, they're going to do well. Red Sox, man. I mean, how do you feel about them? You said that's the enemy, right? I'm assuming that's who.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's who I.
Yeah.
It's not going to be good here in Boston. It's not going to be a good year in Boston.
I think it's going to be rough.
I think it's going to be the AL East is going to be between the Yankees and the Rays. I think it's a 2-team race in the AL East this year.
Yeah, and I actually think that Toronto may surprise more people than they think. Because of the 60-game season, Toronto has the hitting that they could pop for a little bit. And I mean, just like you were asking Mike a little bit ago. It threw 60 games the first season. Wasn't Atlanta in 3rd place last year behind the Nationals and the Phillies, or were they in 2nd place? I know the Phillies were definitely in 1st place and they lost it. I just don't remember where exactly Atlanta laid. But my point is I think if Toronto could get hot like that to start off the season. I mean, honestly, I'm not worried about the Yankees getting injured. They proved last year that they have the best farm system in baseball, so they don't got to worry about injuries ever. But I think for Toronto, if they can take advantage to any discrepancy, they can actually go on a little bit of a run early.
And I like what you said there. And the thing that worries me about Toronto, they got nowhere to play right now. right.
Yeah.
So, I think it's going to be that's going to be a big deal, right? And then we're talking about some of these other teams too, right? There's reports out there, Brad. You might have heard some of this, that some of these teams are thinking about selling their teams next year, depending on how they do and everything. So,
some of them I think you do.
Are we gonna see some? Are we gonna see some organized tanking in baseball?
Didn't I say that a couple weeks ago and I got laughed at?
You might have, Sean.
They need to be on the team.
What's that, Mike? What's that?
I'm so tired of Liberty Media. Okay, I'm so sick and tired. I'm so sick and tired of liberty media. Please sell the team, all right? Get rid of it. Because a lot of these owners, man, they're looking for a quick buck. And now that they've lost money, a lot of these teams are just, a lot of these owners are just, it's just like you lose inventory, you lose customers, and you have a ton of inventory, and they should do and just get rid of it. And I think a lot of older franchises are going to really. I think this is going to be good for baseball. Like I said, baseball as a whole, it goes back to 1800, probably even before that, and a lot of these teams have been they are owned by older owners and families that have passed the team down from generation to generation. So a lot of these guys that they don't want to lose money, and the best thing that they can do is just like, I'm not going to make money. Billionaires don't like to lose money.
I'm worried. I'm worried for baseball.
Nobody does.
I'm worried for baseball. Like this has to work. This has to work out for them this year. If baseball's in a sad state, everybody wants.
He's in a fast state because of the sorry Mansfield. Mansfield's a horrible commission.
He is. Manfred is not. Yeah, I got to kind of agree with you there because when you dig into this,
Steely was no help either.
And you look at like what's going on and everything, and everybody's like saying that players are being greedy and all that. You got to think about this. The players to a man are giving up 42% of their salary this year. 42% less. Everybody's they're being greedy. And people don't understand that the players basically agreed this 60-game plan to come back next year to the bargaining table, right? They're giving up so many things this year to try to get things in the next CBA. And listen, so you can bet. That's why you're still hearing reports, right, Brad, about everything's not finalized, right? Well, because the DH wasn't supposed to be in this year. Now the DH is in. Now they got to put the runner on second base.
That's such a bad rule.
Which makes
that is
sense.
Such a dumb rule. I hate that rule more than anything.
Not for this year. Not for
that ruins the integrity of the game.
Sean, you can't.
I love the DH.
But you don't want to.
I do not want to see
you don't want 19 inning games.
I don't want to see that ever again.
A 60-game season.
Especially the DH has been, the Nationals has been against the DH for so long. All of a sudden they caved in.
I'm against the DH, but I like it for this year. But I'm against the universal DH. I don't like it. I don't. If I want to watch softball, I'll go to a softball game. But again, I'm concerned that if this doesn't work out for baseball, what that's going to lead to next year. And Sean, we've talked about this previously.
We've talked about this a lot.
Other sports. Yeah, but it's allowing the other sports and get in on this because I really like to have your opinion on this. If baseball doesn't succeed, it's really allowing the next NHL to jump right ahead of them.
Oh yeah.
As far as popularity.
Oh yeah.
Getting viewerships and like that because we all know, like I said before, I don't care who you are, when the hockey playoffs come around, you're watching the hockey. There's nothing better than a Game 7 in the hockey playoffs.
Absolutely.
I mean, like we can talk about that all day. I'll argue anybody. There's nothing better than the Game 7 in sports. Seriously.
And I've told you. And I told you from like the jump of this, like baseball restarting the same time as hockey and basketball, that's going to hurt baseball alone until basketball and hockey are over because basketball and hockey are entering right in the playoffs. They're basically going right into the playoffs. Both teams are. So the beginning of baseball, the ratings are going to suck. They're going to be so bad, and they have to hope. Baseball needs to sustain this because if they don't, but baseball's already below basketball, and it's football, NFL, NBA, MLB, then NHL. But the NHL is ready to jump both the NBA and the MLB. And if the MLB does not go this year or cancels for whatever reason, the NHL does it, the NHL will leapfrog the MLB, and the MLB. I said this to you privately before, but I think if the MLB misses, they're in a state to where they're going to be screwed for a while. They're going to lose a lot of fans that they already don't have because they're not connecting with the younger generation. So for them not being on TV and in the younger generation's face is only going to hurt them more.
Yeah.
Great. What do you think, Brad?
Yeah,
and basically, once the MLB has their problems, the question is, will those players transition to the KBO?
No, they won't. They won't do that. But that's a great point, Matt. Go ahead, Brad.
Because each of those teams have 3 international players from the MLB right now.
Yeah. The KBO is more of a conduit for people, for players resurrecting their careers. Then you won't see too many marquee MLB players go over there. Let me let Brad get in on this. Go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, I agree with Sean. If this doesn't work, and again with the CBA on the horizon next year, baseball is going to be in trouble for many, many years beyond it could be 2023, 2024 before they even go back. And, again, I have to agree with you. I don't think there's anything exciting or in sports than Game 7 in the NHL. They're just nothing better. And again, I don't care who it is in the Stanley Cup Finals. If it's a Game 7, we're all strapping in to watch that because it's the most exciting 60 minutes that we can get a chance to watch. But I could see hockey jumping both the NBA and the MLB here soon in popularity. And not a lot of people, again, a lot of people associate hockey with the Canadians, obviously, but the NHL, is starting to become popular here. And here in my state, we get picked on because we have the Lightning and the Panthers. Oh, hockey doesn't work in Florida. Oh, well, I disagree with people that give me that argument because it has worked here in Florida. Even though we haven't won many Stanley Cups, we only have one Stanley Cup between the two franchises. It doesn't matter. It's still working here. Go to a Lightning game. Come October, it's hard to get a ticket to Amway Arena to see a Lightning game.
Yeah, it's funny too. It's because like everybody gives Bettman a lot of crap, and everybody wants to anoint him as the worst GM among the sports. But I actually think Bettman nailed this. He was perfect in the way he's handled the entire coronavirus, the lockout, the bubble. He was the first team. He made sure he was the first sport that make sure his players were coming back with a plan in place and everything. Bettman, and I said Silver botched this too, and I've gone on record saying I think Silver's the best out of the 4. But I mean, Silver botched it, and he killed it, and Manfred destroyed it. I don't know what he did. He went and just took a dump on it, and then tried to sprinkle some jimmies over it and called it a Sunday. Like I don't know what the heck he was thinking. I don't know what the heck he was thinking, but it was bad. But it's going to be. I'm actually more interested in among all 4 sports though to see what the NFL does. To be, if I'm being 100% honest, and see what Goodell does, because people for whatever reason already dislike Goodell. If he does anything wrong, that's all we're going to hear about. And I want Goodell to nail this more than anybody because I think Goodell is better than a lot of people give him credit for. But I'm really interested to see how the players move on. We've already had marquee players like Malcolm Jenkins say that this isn't essential. But Malcolm Jenkins also now works for CNN part-time, so I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But I'm more so interested to see how the NFL proceeds more than any other sport at this point.
I agree.
No, I think that's a great point.
Okay, fellas. Good night. Talk to you in 2 weeks.
All right, yes, sir. We'll see you in 2 weeks, man. That was great, Sean. And Brad, thank you for joining us this evening, man. It was a good time having you on. Again, before we get out of here, let everybody know the name of your shows and the days they come on.
Yes, I have my Monday show is the Sunshine State Sports Jabber. That's at 8 p.m. every Monday night. That covers the whole state of Florida. I cover all the Florida college pros and stuff like that. And then on Thursday night, it's the Walker Report. We cover everything on the planet Earth, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays.
All right. Do you have a final thought on anything before we get out of here?
No, guys, I really appreciate you guys. Again, been a fan since we were on a similar network starting all this, but I've been following you guys for a while, so thank you guys again for having me on, and I really appreciate it. I'll be listening in, and anytime you want me to come on, I'll be
no problem. I was gonna say, feel free to come on anytime you want. We always like having people roll with us. It gets lonely out here sometimes with Sean. He don't say much.
I'm the quiet one.
Happy 4th of July, man. Man, Mike, Matthew, Sandy, thanks for calling in and rolling with us tonight. We will not be on next week. Don is on vacation. I will be working, so 4th. We say
no problem.
All right, man. We say good night to everybody, man.
Good night, fellas.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I hate to be the very bad news, but the show's over. Hope you enjoyed it. We can sit and debate and go back and forth all day long. Shout out to Raina Williams. Ain't another place to hold it down like the way that we hold it down. Won't hesitate to bet my last song that you ain't know it then, bet you know it now. Pat and Sean with the dynamic dude. Want the best show around. Reverse 360 windmill. Vince Carter when we put it down. You're now rocking with the major leagues. Show be hitting like Mike Trout. These other guys try and ride the wave, but not the day they get wiped out. Cause we on a whole nother level. Then they follow friends who want to set them. Later smack them like Stone Cold. That's the bottom line until we stunning something. These lame stations ain't saying nothing. They just talk their voice or something. No better place to come vibe out the high spot sports show. Keep that heat coming like Palomalo in the backfield. Relax, chill, everything covered. When we move, full head of steam. Please off the track when the train coming. Want to thank y'all for tuning in. A good time, what it's all about. Hope to catch y'all here next week. Same time, we'll be zoning out. And we encourage you to call. Be opinionated, bring it on. Just make sure that you're ill prepared and come hard and not at all. Verbal warfare, talking sports here. Ding, ding, let's get it on. And unless you stay in stats, you ain't saying jack, keep calm and carry on. 24 in that jersey. Feeling something like Kobe. With a few seconds on that game clock. Down 2, but who worried? Throwing L's to the competition. It make me sick to see us winning. Black Mamba mentality. See it better than me and go get it.
Yo, Sean, what up?
You already know how we do, man. Hey, yo, Sean.
What up?
Pat, what up?
Yes.
Thank y'all for tuning in, man.
Thank you for tuning in, man.
High Spot Sports Show, baby.
Yes, sir. We out.
Later, everyone.
Good night, man. Hey, listen, enjoy that vacation.
The organizer has ended this.